before they go to school, before they mix with friends, so that we know that according to the Bible, we are the discipler of our children. And so I'm going to go through this knowing that, and I'm going slow, and I'm going in three parts. The first part of what I'll be talking about will be directed at the children. And by children, I mean children, babies. Everybody in the family is supposed to be in the family according to God's design. And so even when we have categorizations, like when children go to school and we put them in age groups, it's just for convenience. It's for human convenience. When it comes to the things of God, God plans these things the way he designed it. And if we follow that natural path, it helps better. I'm going to be doing some definitions. I'm going to be addressing the whole audience, right from the children to the married couples, to the unmarried young adults, to teenagers, and we'll see how best we can relate with this issue when it comes to us as families. Amen. Now, so my point is, the family is a natural setting to learn about sexual wellness, not the school, not from peers, and not from friends, not online from total strangers who wouldn't even know your own background. We're supposed to learn these things. And why do I think so? I believe the family is a natural custodian because we get to meet the babies first. We get to announce, oh, it's a boy or a girl. And that's based on what we see in the external genitalia of the newborn baby. We announce that and we raise the children like that. And that's the natural process. I'm going to be defining what that means. I mean, what natural means. I believe is one word that is trending now. You know, most people would say we want to go natural. We are moving away from the synthetic. We are moving away from the man-made. We are going back to nature. And we know that as Christians, when we say we are going back to nature, we are going back to how God created it, what it was created for originally, and that's what nature means to us. And so, according to the vocabulary dictionary, natural describes something that comes from nature rather than being man-made. So that's what natural means, closer to what God intended it to be. And normal means conforming to a type or a standard or a regular pattern. So normal, if you look at a population, there will be some people who are very tall and there will be people who are very short. But when you talk of average, you are talking of normal. How many people, that a larger number of people, like 80% of a population are in that group. So when we say something is normal or this is a normal habit, it means that the larger majority, about 80% of the entire populace that is being studied, or falls, 80% of the number in that population study fall into that category. And so that's what we say is normal. So I'm going to give an example, and this is why I want us to understand what I mean by natural and normal. And I think we need to understand the concept that it is natural and normal for families to teach about sexual wellness to their children as they grow up, before they get other influences, before they learn other things. And so they can be able to judge for themselves. It's unfair many times when we leave children not being taught about sexual wellness, and the first time they will be hearing that will be from their peers who know just about the same as they, and who have been influenced by you don't know who. And so I give a simple example. Normally, naturally, the mouth is for eating and for speaking. Normally, most people eat with their mouths. We know that some people are, maybe ill and they cannot eat through their mouth, but they are the extreme. They are the exception and not the normal. So normally, the mouth is for eating and for speaking. So if the mouth is used for any other thing, including sexual activity, that is not natural, that is not normal. That was not what the mouth was created for. And I hope I've made that example clear. So You will hear me repeat that word, natural and normal. I believe it's one thing we need to understand what the meaning is, and in relating with our children, teach what is natural, what is normal, so that it's not a matter of going out to say what somebody else is doing is wrong. It's not the wrongness. It is the naturalness or the normalness, so that our children will stand on their feet and say, I know what is natural, I know what is normal, I know the basis of my own choices. And of course, some of them may disagree about whether or not they will do what is unnatural or not normal. But at the end of the day, the description of normal and natural is clear. Amen. Now, I want to go on to the reason why sexual wellness is important for the family to discuss, even with the children. And I know that there are some cultures who are not comfortable. They don't discuss about sexuality with the children at all. They don't believe it's anything the children should know. In fact, when children ask questions, they give them fake answers. And I know that there is another extreme of cultures that discuss these things in a way that it's just too much of information for a child to process. So there are the extremes out there. But what is natural is that the family take it upon themselves to teach what children should know. I write here, it is the most effective way of discipleship. And children are natural disciples of their parents. So the fact that we have children in the house, they're going to watch what we do. They're going to ask questions naturally. And so when those kind of opportunities present themselves, we are supposed to teach these children the core values of life from as early as possible. It is the responsibility of the family, I repeat. It is not the responsibility of the church or the government to teach the starting point core values. They are not there to teach your baby how to bath when you are home, because I believe that's the starting point. The fact that we have the opportunity to see these children when they were born, we get to teach them how to take a bath. We get to teach them how to clean up, and we get to teach them how to clean the hidden parts. And this is the parts that I want us to look at those opportunities. By the time a child learns to take care of his own body or her own body, he or she knows the names of those parts. He or she knows the functions of those parts. And he or she knows that strangers, older people shouldn't touch them inappropriately in those parts. And if they do, they know they should trust their parents or who they trust to go and tell them that things are happening, somebody's touching me in a particular way. So I say we start by teaching our children that God is purposeful in creating us and putting our body parts just where he wants them. And so the fact that we have genital organs, that's God's design. Our sexual disposition comes from God. Our sexual expressions, the way he has wired us with the hormones, the male, the female, comes from God. So we teach our children that we were made, created wonderfully, beautifully by God. Each of our body parts were created wonderfully, beautifully by God. So there's nothing shameful or nothing to hide in talking about our feelings, our desires. The family is supposed to be the container of whatever is going on and helping children grow, helping adults manage their sexual desires or dispositions. So nothing to be ashamed of, not something to really talk about. So when we teach children this, we also encourage questions. And this is where some cultures are lacking. We encourage questions. We have openness. So when it's not like somebody has to call another person into a corner to say something, I believe it should be a family. There should be a general family forum where people can discuss things like this in a way that is open, in a way that is constructive, in a way that is helpful, so that the children can stand on their own choices by the time they become adults and be able to defend their choices should they have the reason to do so outside of the family. Now, I have talked for a long time with the, having in mind that children are there and the attention span is not the same as adults. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop for about 5 minutes and leave us with 3 questions to discuss, engage both the children that are 8 years old and above, or even younger if they have questions or they've asked questions before, to also engage the young adults, because they are going to be the next generation of parents. And we're going to get to the young adults soon. But so the questions are: number 1, what does my grade 3 know? Grade 3 and up. So age 8 and upwards. What do they know about sex, and where did they learn that from? That's something you can discuss. You can just ask your children, hey, so maybe we've never talked about this before. What do you know about this? And did you hear anything from anybody? Did you observe anything from everybody? This is a time to start that kind of discussion. Number 2, why do some families find it difficult to talk about sexuality together as a family? Why is it that we'll separate one, or we wait till we think somebody has a bad habit before we address it? Why don't we start from just the teaching positive side of it? Why is it difficult? Number 3, discuss differences in cultural dispositions to sex education. And so I'm going to say in different cultures, for instance, Caucasians versus Africans, or the culture of the government versus the culture of church, or any other subculture. Like, I'm a healthcare worker, maybe the way I would discuss it will be different from somebody who's never been a healthcare worker. So that kind of discussion, can we have that for the next 5 minutes? And then we'll be back. Thank you.